Next is Zenobia Fields, Department Director with the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority. Has 15 years of diverse experience, including capacity building, asset planning, performance planning, urban design, transportation-related design, data sharing, policy analysis, and general community development. You've had many jobs, it seems. Yes, I identify with that. Currently specifically responsible for overseeing and integrating the technical analysis required to maintain an efficient planning process or a framework for the organization's plans and programs. So, Zenobia?
Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of a shift because I think I need to explain that as a metropolitan planning organization, when we look at our visualization tools, the audience that we're looking for is more so our board, which is a board of elected officials, and looking at how are we communicating with the public about how we're spending our transportation dollars. So you're basically saying that we get $2 billion of funding a year. We want to let you know how we've identified the need and how we are moving forward the transportation improvement. So the audience really isn't an analyst or a researcher. It's more of an elected official when you're looking at the visualization tools. So I'm going to show you 3 tools today. The first tool is a county profile tool, which really what you're looking at in this application is that we have county planners, we have our elected officials, our freeholders or county executives, that they may need to know information about demographics of their geography and look at if they need to express a need, for example, an environmental justice community if they're going for a grant application. So what you're representing there is how do you present this in a friendly manner that they can digest this information. So what we have and we release pretty much on about every 5 years when we go to what's released in the census. We develop it on an Esri platform, so looking at a GIS base, we create a PDF booklet that we make that is downloadable online, and instead of having it just be a static version, we wanted to convert that into a more dynamic version and have this online tool. So with the online tool, you'll see all the categories that we basically provide a synopsis of information that's ranging from demographic. We have 7 million people in our region, but in terms of the demographic, it really varies. Where you're looking at somebody in the northeastern part of the region, it's mainly over $200,000 per capita over there when you're looking at the income, to a very rural area when you get out to the western part of the county. And then talking about accessibility, how they're traveling, getting around, environment, and also look at our freight activity and our goods movement around the region. We usually show a video, and that's what comes up on the splash screen. So we do a combination of pictures and explaining this demographic, your percent minority, looking at your senior population coming through. We show the context of it in the rest of the region. So you can see in terms of population that it's pretty dense over towards the eastern part of our region. But when you get out towards of our western areas, those are our more rural counties. Then you'll see information about if you just wanted to look at a particular county, and we link to other tools that we have. So we not only link to information about the county website, but we've developed other tools too. So we have what we call VIZ tools, and VIZ tools is a tool within itself, which is where you look at, you can map existing conditions. You can also look at how to sketch a scenario, and you can look at our forecast. So we have to, as an MPO, we have to forecast 25 years out where people are going to be living, working, playing, getting around the region. And we also have a link to our data portal where it allows you to actually download the information. And of course, our regional household survey, and that's used for our travel demand modeling. Then again, what you're seeing here is just the basic information. So comparing it by county. So just looking at Bergen County, how many people live in the county relative to the entire region, and just seeing the comparison there. And where this is important, for example, if we're looking at where we're going to have transit, we're not adding rail lines, but if we were adding something like a bus line, for example, an existing service, we have to be able to say, you have to have that density there. You have to have those jobs. You have to have that resident population if you want to qualify to have additional transit there. Then this is more information, just a breakdown of the population and the pie charts. I was looking to see if this was at that 12 o'clock range, wasn't sure. Then these are just some of our widgets and our buttons. You're able to print it out, the base maps, the Esris, whether it's the grayscale, looking at the aerial maps and so on. All of our source information. So it's really used to get a snapshot, but let's say you wanted to get information from the American Community Survey, you're able to download that and it's already clipped and packaged at that county level. And then if you needed information about our transit lines, anything looking at our freight corridors is already clipped and packaged, and you can download it from there. So what we're looking at now is really making sure that we increase performance. We want to update it try to update it a little more frequently. Our counties help us update this on a quarterly basis to maintain this and to see what information they need. Then going on to the freight activity locator, this is really looking at our region, is that how goods movement operates within our area. We have the third largest port in the nation, where you're looking at the port of Newark and Elizabeth, and also if you all heard about the Bayonne Bridge raising, that's over there. So whether you're talking about cargo moving by ships, moving by trucks, or moving by rail. So just some of the jobs that are connected to that, we have over 900,000 jobs in the region that are directly connected to freight. In terms of the movement on our highways, we are looking at daily truck traffic of over 100,000 trips. And then the amount of square footage with the warehouses coming in with those industries, you're talking about over 800 square feet of intermodal facilities. So with this audience, and we had to be careful here, because we're not talking about someone who just wants to look at it and is a cargo handler or a terminal operator. You're talking about our chairman, who is our Freight Initiatives Committee, or you're looking at a rail line, looking at Conrail, or looking at Norfolk Southern, and they just want to get at a glance information in context. So this was also built on the Esri platform and looking at story mapping, and we wanted to provide an overview of where the rail system actually was, how you're going, for example, you come up to that marine terminal, you're getting on that rail system line, or you're putting it on a truck in that access way and going to those various facilities. Also talking about what type of commodities you're actually moving around the area, and then giving a profile of each of the counties and what they had, whether they're looking at pharmaceuticals, are their lead commodity, or orange juice is pretty big in the western part of our region. Then here, what you have to get that information, we took all of those bullet points that I mentioned earlier, and they come out as the different tabs. So you have a splash screen, so you have an idea. This is a picture of our port. We put up a video tutorial that basically walks people through how they click through this and what information they're going to get. There's always a narrative sidebar that's coming up on the left. So you get a little bit of overview of the facilities, and this is just a little ticker that flashes through the various facilities that come through. Then you see information that it's pretty basic what you're actually showing here. You're just showing where you have the private carriers, whether it's CX, you're looking at Conrail, you have some of our local county lines that are operated here, just showing how they're connected through. And then you're looking at where you have the Roadway Network and how that possibly could overlap. All of these are downloadable online. And then this map I'm not proud of, is busy right here, but this basically shows where we have all of our facilities. And it shows the collection of the freight activity in the region, and that you really have it over in the Port Elizabeth area, where you're looking at the eastern part of our county and the geography of how you move along with the various facilities. And then when you're looking at the various commodity profiles, so we looked at a couple of commodities where I think we looked at here, there's a total of 11 different commodities where we came out here, and it varied looking at from pharmaceuticals to you're looking at food to you're looking at publications and how it's getting around the region. And then if we look at the first commodity where you're looking at chemicals, for example, you're just looking at the various tons that are going around the region and giving it a percent breakdown of that. And you're actually able to download information, and you get the information on the trends of what's coming in those bundles, as well as predicting how they're growing in the future. So just like we do our long range forecasting for the region, we also do it for freight. So this one went out to 2040 and what we were going to have in terms of our needs assessment there. And then you're able, if you wanted to have a sample profile for each county, you click on this, each county, you're able to download that profile. You get the various, our version of the infographics, so you get information about the people. We did not cut a person in half, so I'm proud of that. We would probably think about how we round the numbers, the number of businesses that are associated with that, looking at the jobs, also looking at how the employment is going to change with the different, and of course looking at the NAICS codes and how they're divided up here. And then just talking about the videos, refining some of the maps, adding more summaries. And we do have a video that goes around how are you moving good around the region, and it just walks people through it. And videos actually really help. I didn't show any of the videos here, but I think that's something we should look at in terms of visualization. The last tool I'm going to show is looking at the web-based portal for a public engagement tool. And this is a little different because it's not looking at identifying a need in an area. You're basically talking about the various techniques you can employ to engage the public. So whether you're talking about engaging them using interviews, doing your typical charrettes and workshops and so on, or how do we actually engage the millennial generation and make them understanding what we're talking about in transportation planning. So to do this, we had a various cross-section of focus groups, where the focus groups were about 8 to 12 people. We were looking at things like messaging. Do you even know what an MPO is? What do we mean when we talked about transportation improvement and so on? And we ended up with a database of about 350 tools. And the tools talked about best practices that you could apply for outreach. Whether you're looking at something that I'll talk about later, going with the millennial generation, looking at the high schoolers for a graphic novel. If you're looking at going with a community-based organization, how do you engage champions to get that message apart? And then thinking about how much time you have. There's a difference if I'm doing an outreach for our Plan 2045, where I have several months to go out, versus if I'm only talking about one intersection project. So I want people to understand what a roadway diet is versus going out into that scale project. So this is just the database, just straight database, so you can see its audience, it's a tool, geography, scale, and so on, as we were talking about. And then this is how the interface of the application looks now, where you're presenting those 350 various techniques and methodologies for the tools and resources. You're actually stepping people through where you're educating them. Okay, so who's your audience? Are you looking for the general public? Are you looking for elected officials, minorities? Are you looking for limited English proficiency? What's the scope of it? Are you looking for something that's at a statewide scale? Are you looking at something at a neighborhood scale? And then are you really going to be talking to people that live in a rural area versus living in an urban area. Safety is very different in a rural area versus an urban area, and I'm getting very close to time where safety is talking about crime in more so of an urban area, but when you get to the rural area, you may be talking about sharing the road with the agricultures and the tractors, and this does come up, and we have both conversations there. And then looking at our various tool types, we've gone out to malls for engagement. We've done little surveys. That's what you're seeing there. We actually had millennials host civic dinner parties that we took an idea from the Atlantic Regional Council, and we mimicked this. We use trusted advocates, so this is good when you're trying to engage environmental justice communities and community-based organizations. We use the graphic novel to get information out. If you wanted to do a change in line, for example, we have the Penn Station construction going on. We need alternatives there. Using youth leadership. This is just how it's on our website coming up, a mock-up from there, and I will stop because I'm over. Thank you.